10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I know that you.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. Hi, girls. How are you? How's everyone doing? Christelle, Chantel. Who else do we have? We have Kiara, we have Destiny, Rochelle, Shiranta. Hi.
Hello. We're doing well.
Good. You can unmute and let us know how you guys doing. Am I hearing some people from Bahamas? Hello.
Yes, from Freeport, Bahamas.
Yes. We are so happy to have the Bahamas in the house, right, Kev?
Yeah.
I know that there was a
Our
lot.
Bahamian friends.
I know. There's a big rivalry brewing between the Trinity girls and the Bahamas girls as to who's going to take the win on this hackathon. So
I think it's Crystal and the Haitian girls, you know. I think it's a team from Haiti.
Yeah. We have a strong Haitian
Hey, Crystal.
contingent this year. What you saying, Crystal? Crystal, we can't hear you. You need to unmute. Crystal's. Oh yeah, Crystal.
What?
Hi, Crystal. Crystal sometimes has internet issues.
Hi. Well,
Hi,
I'm here.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, welcome, Crystal.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to
I'm
jump
excited.
right. All right. So we're going to jump right. We're gonna jump right in.
I think we know everybody is. Where's everyone from?
Yeah, we just need to know where you're from. So we're going to put up something in the chat. Just click on that and tell us where you are from. The Mentimeter is in the chat. So just click on it and just tell us where you're from. We're excited to see who is on the call today for this amazing session.
Let's see who's where, who from. I know where I'm from.
Bahamas.
So let's click on the link in the Mentimeter. If you're on, it'll take you out to a new screen. And just type in your response. Let us know what country you're from. And all these nice things, we take screenshots of them. We'll put them up at some point in time. Report in Grand Bahama.
All right. I told you the Bahamians were in the house.
Jamaica in bold.
All right.
Jamaica.
Bahamas again, Jamaica. All right. Christelle, put up where you are from.
New York City.
Yeah, but repping where, Christelle? That you're repping which country? All right, so we have Jamaica in the house, we have the Bahamas in the house, we have New York City, aka Haiti, which is Christelle.
I'm surprised none of our
Trini. No Trini's in the house.
What's going on?
Get that.
What's going on there? I wonder what's up with that. But that's okay. Bahamas, yes, we see you. We see you.
All right. No Trinis in the house tonight. That's interesting. I bet we're gonna have some Trinis coming in as we start.
Yeah, you know, we Chinese.
Yes, we know you Trinis. All right. Okay, so are we gonna do another poll? Okay, here's Rochelle. Let me admit her.
Yeah, so
Hi, Rochelle.
yeah, so
Welcome.
the other poll we like to ask you guys is what devices you're all using? Remember, we want to get that kind of nice feedback. What devices you guys are using for the hackathon, for your different stages of the hackathon. So let us know whether it's a laptop, mobile phone, tablet, or your desktop computer. And you all know the really important reason why we asked that. Okay, so 3 persons on laptop so far. So the really important reason we asked. It's really difficult to do research and collaborate with your team members during the hackathon using a mobile phone. Even a tablet will be a little challenging as well, particularly if you're the one helping during the pitch on pitch day, or if your entire team will be there. I mean, you have last minute stuff, you might be doing last minute stuff up until minutes before the pitch, and if you have to get stuff together, you know, having your laptop with you will really help. Okay, so yeah, we have 6 results. We have mostly laptops, which we're good. We're really proud to see that. We're really happy to see that. We hope you all keep that up and spread the word that, yes, we need to have those laptops. Last poll that I want to run for you all will be, what do you all expect of this session? Was that Crystal? You use all of what we asked? Yeah, Crystal, yeah, me know. Yes. Ah, so she's a multitasker. So she uses, yeah, that's so you're on your phone, you're doing stuff with your phone, you're talking to somebody using your tablet. So you're using your computer to put everything together. Yeah. That's a true techie personality. Okay, so the last, this is the important one is I'm gonna ask just what are your expectations of this session? You know, so just let us know your thoughts and feelings. It's gonna guide how our guest speaker conducts the session and gives us feedback on how to improve as well. Go ahead and click the link. You all know the drill by now. And remember, it's completely anonymous, so we don't know who's saying what. Just give us your thoughts. Someone's expecting to have fun, which is good. So number 1 rule of hackathon is to have fun. We always, you know, impress that on you. They have fun. I don't know, it's my first. Okay, great. So happy to have you if it's your first time to come into, is that the first time you come into one of our sessions, or is the first time you're experiencing talking about photo storyboarding? Either way, we're glad you're here. Awesome learning experience. Great. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Those are some of the things that we're looking for. Yes. Keep those responses coming in. New learnings. Good. I like what I'm seeing. I hope that you all at the end of this session, you would have, your expectations would have been met. Or how to win. Okay, great. Yes. So getting the information, storyboarding is a really important part of any, if you want to take any avenue, whether it's animation, you need to start with your story. And we have someone who's really good at what he does and understands the ins and outs of this. So learning about practical stuff, hands-on. I like the answers so far. I really love it. So we're gonna close off now. So thank you so much for your responses. Really appreciate them. Really appreciate you all taking the time to go through them. Okay, so Bridge, if you're around, or Janelle.
Okay, hi, hello, girls. Welcome, everyone. So today you're in for a special treat. We have Ruben Pringle today to walk us through his approach to photo storyboarding. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about him. So he's a published visual creator who specializes in portraits, wedding, commercial, concert photography, documentaries, as well as interviews. He's dedicated his life to pretty much creating stunning and compelling works of art for Black women and women of color. His work has also been featured in noteworthy publications such as Backyard Magazine, Jamaica Gleaner, and Elle Canada, just to name a few. What I found that was really exciting for me is that he has recently worked with as a lead director of photography with Jamaican recording artist Savannah for her at-home feature of NPR's Tiny Desk concert, Big Things. So Jake is a force to be reckoned with, a visual ninja who has carved out a stunning path for himself. And we're really honored to have him here today, right, everyone? So I'm just gonna welcome him on.
Hi, everyone. Hi, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Jake. Thanks for being here.
That was a nice intro. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So we're here to talk about photo storyboarding, how to create it from steps 1 to whatever. I'm going to make it as simple as possible for you guys. So it's not complicated, it's easily digestible, and you guys can leave this session feeling inspired and empowered and ready to create those mood boards so that you can go out and win the competition. I saw the topics, they're very interesting and important topics. I saw one that I'm interested in, and I probably will be doing at some point. So yeah, let's just, get into it. It's good to see that there's people from all over the Caribbean. I see people in New York by way of Haiti. I love my Haitian family. Big up everybody else from Bahamas, Barbados. I'm not sure if anybody else came in from Trinidad or anything else, but wherever you are in the Caribbean and outside of the Caribbean, big up yourself, and thanks for coming. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, let's get into it. So I'm going to be showing you some examples of different ways you can put together your storyboard, and then how to move from having an idea to actually executing. All right. So the first thing that you need to know to create a mood board is you need an idea. And the idea can come from things that you've seen, topics that you've been given, anything, anywhere. It could just be you sleeping and you get up in the morning and you're like, I should create a project on this, a photo series on this, or a documentary on this. And you explore that. That's the first thing. Come up with the idea, and then you find out the purpose of it, why you want to do it, and then you get inspiration. All right. So from there, let me start sharing my screen. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah? All right, great.
Yes, we are
So
seeing.
I'm just going to show you real quickly before I even go to this mood board. So this is a project I did in 2019. And I'm just going to go through the pictures really quickly just to get an idea of what we created and how we got the mood board to lead to where we are in this article that I wrote. So this young lady, she has a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, also known as brittle bone disease. It's a disease that, you know, you are born with, and it's basically your bone tissue doesn't harden the way the average human being's bone tissue would harden. So you are prevalent to consistent bone breakages and soft bone tissue, basically. So I'm just going into it. And these are the images that I created. And I want to tell you how I went about creating these images, right? So let's quickly go through them. Yeah. So yeah. So typically my photo shoot when it comes on to my advocacy project usually has like 3 steps, which is showcasing what condition or illness the person has, to then moving on to that person accepting the condition or disease that they have, and then flourishing with whatever they have, right? And that's what I try to tell with all of my stories here. So as you can see, this is her flourishing in her being and being truly happy with who she is. So how did we get here? The story behind this is Sanchige reached out to me based on some other projects I had done with previous women, and she wanted people to know what osteogenesis imperfecta is, and wanted the world to know her story specifically. And so that's where the idea came from. That's the purpose and that's the inspiration. That's the why. You need to know your why. All right. So we know our why. So then the next step for me is research and data collection, because I didn't know anything about osteogenesis imperfecta before, and so I had to research and collect data, and that data came from both research papers and also by interviewing Sanchige herself. So I went online, searched what is osteogenesis imperfecta, how do you get it if you can get it, how is it transferred through is it something that's hereditary, that type of stuff. All that information I was Googling and finding out. I also interviewed Sanchige to find out who she was as a person, because even though we sought out to share what osteogenesis imperfecta is, we also want people to have an idea of who she is. And the only way to really know who she is to interview her. So I interviewed her, asked her a list of questions, and these questions actually help in coming up with the concepts and helping with creating your mood board. So I asked her things like, is she adventurous? Is she good in school? If she is good in school, what does she like to study? Does she do sports? That type of stuff. What does she do in her spare time? And I'll ask random questions like phone or laptop, nature or city. These type of things to get that help you to get an idea of how this person thinks, and it start to sculpt out their personality. And then you can say, okay, based on what I know what osteogenesis is, and who Sanchige is, I can say, all right, I can start fusing things together, and I can start, visualizing things in my head. And once I start the process of visualization, the next thing for me is to find references. So let's go back over here. So from top, this is my mood board that I had created. My mood board I created for her. Just need to run through real quickly, and it has the basic information. It has like the title of the project. It has the date, the location. I actually updated this document as I proceeded. So I went from both photography to actually launch date and all of that stuff. So I have launch date, launch location, how many looks am I doing, the color scheme or themes that I plan to portray in the project. And this is very important. We have the talent and the technical proof, right? Now, we have inspiration. We need inspiration. So from the questions that I asked her, I started to sketch, and I started coming up with ideas of what I wanted. For this specific project, I didn't really put together a collage of images that I liked. I kind of had everything up here, and I then designed the set based on that. But typically, if you look at my other mood boards, maybe this one here, you will see like I have reference images that I plan to use. So, and these reference images will help me decide on what type of makeup I want to use, what type of poses I want to use, the outfits that I plan to use, I want the model to wear or the subject to wear, the type of examples of the location, things like that is what comes into that stage that we're in right now. So going back to here. So after we created we got those reference images, we just have them arbitrarily stored on our computer. We don't have to put them in any specific order yet. We're just in that process of collecting information. Let me see if there's any questions. No question. All right, so we're just collecting information. At a later date, we're going to actually go through and then put together our physical or digital mood board, right? After we've done our preliminary gathering of information and photo references and stuff like that, then we need to start fine-tuning it. And fine-tuning it is being more realistic with yourself. So for example, with this project, I wanted a huge studio with a set that was by like 10 feet by 10 feet and bells and whistles. But then you also have to think about budget. And then your budget helps you to stipulate what you can actually create. Now, these projects are done out of pocket, so I have no sponsors. So all of the money that is being spent, I'm the one covering it, right? So then I was like, okay, well, I can only invest X amount of money, and if that's the case, then I need to start taking things out of the collection of images that I've selected and simplifying my concept. So instead of actually getting physical flowers, maybe I can create flowers using papers. And so that also helped me with thinking of who I can bring on my team. So now that I know that I want to create paper flowers, and I don't have to go out and find someone who is that's their expertise, because I only want to focus on the photography aspect of it and the project management aspect of it, right? And then as we're culling down, or as we're bringing it down to something more simplified, we can then decide that, okay, we want to create our visual board or mood board. And there's a few apps you can use to create this. And they are Canva, which is like a all-purpose graphic design website. You can create flyers, you can create photo books, you can create so many different things on Canva. It's one of my favorite apps. There's also Millernote. There's also Evernote is what you see me using here, which is more text-based, and you can also add images, but it's mostly text-based. Let me show you an example of Millernote. So Millernote is more like a scrapbook. You can actually create collages here. So you kind of just throw everything on the boards, what you call this here, is space, and then you can start arranging it. So let me zoom in here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this was for a shoot that I did last year, and it was African themed. And I wanted to give both my colleagues and the participants an idea of what I wanted them to look like. So I wanted them to look very regal. I wanted a very simple background and, you know, very Afrocentric in nature. So I have very basic tips and notes here. So for example, I definitely wanted them to have head wraps. So I said head wraps using different print fabrics, depending on women captured on solid backgrounds. Yeah. And then I knew that I wanted the backgrounds to be brown, gold, and red. So I added that there. And this is just arbitrary at this point. On the closer to the day, you start fine tuning, and you know, you can have a more detailed and specific mood board to send out to the team and to whoever else needs it. So I also wanted the women to be holding palm leaves and and flowers like, I don't know what the name of this flower is right now, but flowers like this. So I had added that note there. And so that's how I wanted them to look. I have here like accessories. I have makeup tips, facial expressions. So for example, for the makeup, I know I wanted bright, vibrant pops of colors, the cheeks, subtle no highlights, because I really just wanted the lips and your eyes to do all the talking, and the head wraps. And then for facial expressions, I wanted the women to showcase peace. I wanted them to be striking. I wanted them to be strong or gentle and confident. And then also on the mood board, I have here accessories. So we had two sponsors. One is Chrissy Coils and one was 44 Miles Jewelry. So I just had some samples of what the jewelry would look like. On the actual day, we brought an assortment, and the ladies would come in and they would select the specific ones that they wanted to wear based on their personal style and preferences. And that's pretty much what Melon Note is like. I think I have a next one I can show you. So this is the next project that I'm doing. And this one, I wanted to use mirrors. And so I have a few samples of the type of poses that the women could do with the mirrors. And we have a few just to give them an assortment of ideas. And we could always come up with our own. And the thing about the mood board is really just a guide. On the actual day, you can deviate a little bit away from it, but it's just to keep your focus on a set trajectory when you're executing your photo shoot or your video shoot, or even your graphic projects. Yeah. So that was the type of poses and looks. Over here is more details on the props and backgrounds. So we have examples of the type of fabric, how the fabric will be draped, how the woman will be posed in front of the fabric, an idea of how the setup would be in terms of the lighting, and then, you know, just a few pose ideas here as well, how they would look either if they were doing standing shots or, you know, shooting from a lower angle and stuff like that. All right. So let me see, pause real quick. I get back to yeah. Do we have any questions so far? Janelle, we have any questions? Everybody all right?
Hi, girls. You can open your mic and ask your questions if you have any. Let's see. Or if you're shy, just write it in the chat.
All right. Well, let's continue then. All right. So
Yeah, they don't seem to have any questions so far.
Good, really good so far.
all right, perfect. Glad to hear.
Nice.
All right. So all right. So going back to this project, why it's good to create your mood board prior to. It helps you, as I said, it's a guide to your actual shoot. So it definitely helps with your pre-production work. It helps with knowing what type of props and equipment you need. It helps with location scouting, proof of concept. And by proof of concept, I mean, so for example, this specific shoot, I created this background. So this image here, if you look in our background, that's actually a collage of x-rays that I had put together. And in the conceptualizing stage, I knew I wanted it. I just didn't know if it was feasible and how I would actually execute it. So days leading up to the photo shoot, I had went around, asked people for x-rays and started creating the collage and researching how I could prop them up or fold them up. And I decided to use a light, a background a photo background, and I basically taped it to the edges of the background here, like you see here. And then in between, I had used, I believe, what did I use to fix the pieces together? I don't think I used a staple gun. Let's see if I can figure it out. I think I used maybe tape or glue or something to that effect to hold the pieces together. I think it was tape. But yeah, I had done this days before the shoot, and I knew it was working. So all I did at this point, I didn't actually dismantle it. Thankfully, I had a space that I could leave the equipment in there until actual shoot day. So that's exactly what I did. I just rolled it up into a roll and put it in a corner. So in case they were using the space, there wasn't anybody to destroy the actual background or interact with it in any way or shape or form, right? So that's proof of concept. So trying things out before the actual production day, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and it's good to do that well in advance, so you have enough time to go back to the drawing board and come up with a different concept if you need to, and run through that step again. All right, so I'm gonna go to this one here. So this was a mood board, a very simple one I did on Canva. And it just has like a nice header page where it has the person I'm photographing, the magazine that I'm working for, and it says Tessellated Mood Boards. Tessellated is a Jamaican artist, if some of you don't know. And I also have like some basic information. I created it for Backyard Magazine and stuff like that. So it says Zion Field Backyard Magazine, retain copyright for concept, da, 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 da. So that way, if you're showcasing it to anyone, they know it's your original concept. It's good to also copyright this before sending it out. If you're doing, so for example, you're working for a big corporation and you're pitching an idea to them using your original content, it's good to copyright this before, because these large corporations, they're very tricky, to put it lightly. So I have my usual overview, the purpose of the shoot, which is for website and magazine, the photographer, the location, date, time of day, props, and so forth. I can go as detailed as possible as I want, or very stripped down. I can go as detailed as saying who are the other team members. If I can do the temperature for the day, I can do the angle of the sun. It can get as complicated as possible, or it can be as stripped down as possible, depending on who is actually receiving this document. So I give a quick overview of the first look, which I call no answer. So the first look captures Tessellated at the beach in a very casual fit. And I just put in some arbitrary images that I scanned from Pinterest. If you want a great location to find images, Pinterest is your go-to place, and that's www.pinterest.com. All of these images are taken from Pinterest. And I think I had put in editorial boy on beach or man on beach, and these are some of the shots that have come up, right? I need some more examples.
Hi, Jake?
Yeah.
Hi, are these images open source?
These are, no, not necessarily open source. Some of them are actually in publications. So these are more tier sheets. So these are actual images pulled from various locations. They can be websites, they can be magazines, they can be open source, they can come from anywhere. The mood board is not that specific, because the inspiration can come from anywhere.
Okay, right. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. So you can pull from anywhere to show your concept, but when you're actually going to be presenting your solution, then that would have to be your work.
Correct.
Your intellectual property. All right, got it.
Correct. Yeah, so I even have little anecdotes here. Tessellated might get knee-high wet depending on the conditions of the wave, so that everybody who's a part of the production has an idea of what is going to happen. we already know that, or the artist and his management, for example, in this case, they know that he needs to bring a change of clothes, he needs to bring a towel because he might get wet. Or in my case, I need to bring these items for him, so that, and also have a changing room and stuff like that facilitated for him to change before and after, right? Going into the second look, pretty much the same thing. Ideas, images pulled from the web to kind of give people an idea of what I want. And then I also add in their outfit inspiration, and I give some notes. So we want colors to be bright and vibrant, colors for the car look, and cool and pastel colors for the beach and sand look, right? And that's pretty much it. This is a very basic, simple storyboard, mood board, or yeah, that's what I call it, mood boards. And yeah, this is simple. This is quick and easy to create in Canva. You just find a template. Yeah, just find a template over here that works for you. So you can even use fashion photo collage. That's great. And then you can create from there, right? I just wanted to show you another one. The one I want to show you. Yeah, so let me show you the end result first. So this is the end result. Yeah, there we go. So these are the end results that I shot. Very simple shoots, but very technical at the same time. Took a lot of planning. I think this took me about a month or so to plan, because of the research aspect and everything. So the idea behind this is that the model Casey, she did like one of those DNA tests, and she found out that she is part Scandinavian, and I think, where is it? And she has some West African, Nigerian lineage, and we wanted to kind of fuse those two worlds into one concept. So I did some research on, you know, Viking culture. So like I have references here to show like Viking traditional tattoos and attire. I have some African face makeup and jewelry and attire as well. And we have some symbols, Adinkra symbols that are based out of West Africa. And they have different meanings. So depending on the actual day, I would actually have Casey select the ones that she resonates best with, and we would have gone ahead with that, right? And you can see we did that. Yeah, so along her neck and we call it shoulder blade, there's the different symbols there, and then we have more of the Viking type makeup going on, using some African stuff going on here. Yeah. This thing is blocking me. How do I get this out of the way? Okay, there we go. Right, so coming back to the mood board. So once again, you know, we have the dates, all that information. I had some face inspiration for the makeup artist. Sure, some stuff. So we had both African inspiration, Viking inspiration, and then there were some very specific ones I wanted. So for example, this, I liked the line work of the chin on the lip there and above the eyes here. I like this, what's going on here. And then I also had like forehead, where the symbology would be like that. And I had also some European type symbology as well. So I have a lot of references that we could have pulled from. And then I also had some hair references. But when I originally came up with this concept, Casey had hair. By the time we actually started to execute it, she no longer had hair. So this was kind of out of the box, but we kept it either way. And there's some ideas, some little props and stuff that we would need. So I had ideas for yarn and the type of fabrics that we would need and so forth. So in essence, to reiterate, let me cancel stop sharing. So to reiterate, we go through the process of coming up with the idea, defining it, and that by defining the details, we go through the process of research and data collection, getting familiar with what we're shooting, getting an idea of the why and the purpose, so we can fine tune our concept, having an idea of the budget and the crew that we can work with, and what props and resources we can use to then fine tune that concept, finding references online and just putting them out there, putting them on a board, sifting through the ones that are the strongest references and the ones that best represent your idea, and then using any of these 4 platforms that I suggested. So once again, Canva, Millernote, Evernote, and PowerPoint. Any of those 4 you can use to create your mood board, and then being creative with the layout, separating things into groups so they're more understandable and digestible. So poses, you have styling, makeup, wardrobe, and so forth, right? And that's pretty much it. Any other questions? Oh, which one do I use the most? I use Canva and Evernote the most. I've just recently gotten into Millernote. I found out about it last year, but prior to, I was definitely using Evernote and Canva. Next question. We have a really... Okay, cool. Any other questions? Let me know.
We had a question from Chantel asking if you think that, well, is Canva easy to use?
Canva is definitely easy to use. If you have problems like navigating Canva, there's always awesome YouTube videos that you can find. Like for any of the 4 things that I shared, the 4 apps or applications you can use to create these things, you can always find helpful how to use videos on YouTube. But I found Canva quite easy to use. Canva was created not for professionals, but for the everyday person to get their own graphics and flyers and stuff created. There's templates out there. There's pre-done templates that you can choose from and just edit them. Yeah, I find Canva to be a quite easy app to use. Anything else?
Awesome. This was pretty good. I really love the inspiration from the 100. I saw Lena's face as on the storyboard, so that was pretty cool to see. So
Yeah.
Ladies, you can see that inspiration comes from everywhere. It's really just up to you to put that together and, you know, just build from there, right? I'm just waiting to see if we have any more questions. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Janelle, it's Bridget. I actually do have a question for Jik.
Okay, go
Sure.
ahead.
Jik, we are asking the girls to explore a couple of topics that are of real importance for us here in the Caribbean as they are globally. So we're looking at gender-based violence, climate change, and saving our oceans through the blue economy. Can you just share some thoughts with the girls as to how, if it is that you had to create a storyboard, for instance, to depict gender-based violence, how would you go about doing that?
Okay. Oh, you gave me the hardest one.
All right, well, climate change is
No,
good.
I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I like challenges. All right. So if we're doing gender-based violence, all right. So the first thing I would do is research. I would not just go arbitrarily off what I am thinking, especially. All right. So we need to. I would first decide what angle am I taking it from. Am I taking from the angle of women being the victims, or is it not the men being victims, or am I doing both at the same time? I would prefer to simplify it and focus on something and honing on something very specific, because that makes things easier for me to conceptualize and create a mood board. Because when you look on from both perspectives, it's vast. It's a lot of information to consume and try to disseminate in a series of photos. And photos can be very limiting, and it can be very limiting in what you show visually, but at the same time, as a viewer, you can see so many different meanings from it. So the more curated you can get, is the better it is for you when you're handling topics like these that are very sensitive. So going back to this, I would automatically go from, because based on the nature of what I do, I would go from the nature of women being the victim, and I would try also to be try and find someone's story to tell versus trying to tell a general narrative. So from jump, I would go ahead with doing research, finding as much information and statistics as I can find on gender-based violence, finding a volunteer who's willing to share their story. And once I do that, I would go through the process of getting to know her and her specific story and journey. I prefer to always leave my projects with a silver lining. So I always prefer to find someone who has overcome her trauma or his trauma. And that would then guide, based on that process, it would guide what I'm looking for. So say, for example, gender-based violence. Okay, all right. So say, for example, it's a situation where a married couple and this topic is heavy. Yeah, married couple and
there's no making light of it.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to go try and go wrong. I'm trying to make it pretty, and I know it's really hard to. Married couple, the husband beats the woman, and the woman is now divorced, but she has to deal with all that trauma. She did therapy. She's now an advocate for women who are victims of gender-based violence. So I would reach out to her. I'd be like, "Hi, tell me your story." And based on her story, I would have to think of recreating elements of that story or honoring her as a person who's a survivor. And I think we have to be very careful of the former, which is recreating elements of the trauma, because we live in a time where, well, not only live in a time, but people are at different milestones in their journey. And sometimes in recreating or showcasing a particular narrative, you can do more harm to the viewers than good. And you have to think about that when you're conceptualizing. Especially from a male perspective, I have to be cognizant of my privileges and how I'm coming to you, who's that, Bridget, and how that affects the people that I'm trying to advocate for. So one of the things that I did for a project similar to this is it wasn't executed, but when I was thinking about executing it, when I started coming up with ideas, I bounced the ideas of other women to see how they felt about it. I also bounced the idea of the person that I was sharing the story of to see how she felt about it, see if she was comfortable, and stuff like that. In terms of pulling references, kind of hard to tell how to pull references. But yeah, the references will definitely just be pulled off whatever the story, the narrative that I'm telling. Let's go with the narrative where she's a survivor. I would automatically, I think about the word survivor, and I think Wonder Woman, I think Xena, I think Nanny, I think women of great leadership, I think of women like that. And then I would start looking at photo references of those women and seeing what I could take from those women and fuse with the story that of the person that I'm featuring, and then move from there. So I would go the route of maybe making her a victor, someone who has prevailed the tyranny of men, and move on from there. I think Bridget, you had a question, or who had a question?
Actually, that was my old hand because I'm the one who asked this question, Jake.
Oh, yeah. So that's where I would sort of go from. That's the angle I would take for something like that.
So quick question, could you tell could you take the person who is looking at you would want to take them on the journey. So where she started and where she ended up. And
Yeah.
of course, at the end, it's the victorious piece, yeah?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess without being very literal, because I don't necessarily want to show any pictures or any depictions of the woman being beaten or anything like that, but I can definitely show, so similar to, let me share my screen again real quick. So similar to this series, I would probably do a set of images like this, where you can see the sorrow, you can see the pain, maybe some makeup where, you know, she has a black and blue eye or something like that, or a cut. And then we would transition into, you know, this phase here where she is the warrior woman and, you know, the boss lady and the one who is leading the tribe of other women who have been through similar scenarios or situations. Yeah, I think that's how I would go about it.
I just have to tell you that those are beautiful images. They are beautiful, and they really do depict triumph over adversity.
Thank you. Thank you, Janelle. I see your clap. I think I want to go quickly into the, you have a, was it saving the ocean? Remind me, what's the third topic?
Save our oceans and climate change and sustainability. Those are the two.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So I have a photographer who I look up to. He does similar projects to me. He is not thwarted by budgets and resources because he's like a hotshot awardee and, you know, all of that stuff. So when I think of the level that I want to get my work, I think of him, and his name is Von Wong. He's a Canadian, Asian Canadian photographer, and he actually did a project. Let me see if I can find his project here real quick. Von Wong. He did a project on saving the ocean and recycling. Let's see if I can find it.
We would love to, we'd love the link in the chat when you're finished.
No problem.
So we can post it on the notice board.
You got my other messages, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Kev, you got everything, right?
I think I sent it to you specifically.
Oh, you sent it to me. Okay, let me check on it whilst you go through this. I will.
Yes. So this is one of the images here, where you can see this is a mermaid swimming in a vortex, and this vortex, if I can open it up, is actually made of plastic bottles. Yeah. So all of this is actually recycled or upcycled plastic that they assorted in terms of color. So they had clear plastic bottles, green ones, and the blue ones to create this vortex whirlpool type of situation. And then they had the model come in, and this took us like the planning of this took a very long time. So there is the idea, the reason, which is we're talking about climate change and recycling and saving the ocean. And then there is the you know, what exactly are they focusing on? And they were specifically targeting how we, the lack of recycling, or how we dispose of bottles and how they end up in the ocean, and how that affects the wildlife in the ocean. So in this case, we have something that everybody admires and can connect to, which is the mermaid, because yes, they're fish, but we have been taught to value entities that look more like us. So we value the idea, the mythology of the mermaid more than we actually value the fish itself. So he thought of using the mermaid instead of an actual fish to bring his point across. And here we have this mermaid in distress being sucked in by the vortex, and the vortex is being created by the garbage. Right? They had to think about color scheme. So one of the things I missed out in my mood boards is color theme. Color theme. So sometimes you'll actually have color splashes. So you have boxes that have specific colors that they want to be used for the shoot. So if he created a mood board, which I'm sure he did, he would have had a color section that says, okay, I want bottles. The bottles would be green, blue, clear, pink, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then it would also say, you know, how they're going to be arranged in a vortex and stuff like that. And all of that information would be on the mood board as detailed as possible, and why it has to be so detailed for his shoot is he's not the one creating the scenes. He has volunteers that come from all over the world to lend their time, whether as just hands or in a specific expertise, whether it be constructional engineering or makeup artistry, styling, etc., etc. And they would need to know this specific information. For example, the stylist would need to know this information so that she can find the right mermaid fin that would fit and match the theme of the shoot. So imagine if this was, I don't know, pink, hot pink and yellow. That would not necessarily look very well on this set here, right? So she knew what the overall colors were. So then she could then decide on what outfit would fit best and what type of hair color and so forth, makeup, etc. Right? So that's pretty much it. I can think of, yeah.
Would you, so in planning out the shoot, the storyboard, you would also, I mean, in addition to visualizing what kind of color scheme you would use to depict the vortex, including the fact that you're using all of the plastic, you would also talk about the color scheme to depict the mermaid, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's at the end of it. Once you take the viewer through the photo storyboard, they should start to visualize all of this.
Yes. By the time you reach the end of it, they should have an idea of what the end result is going to be like. So, and as I said, I showed you 3 different types of storyboards I've done to give you an idea. So it really depends on who you're giving the document to. Sometimes I'm not giving a document to anybody, so I can keep it as simple as possible because I already know what I want to do. And the set is small, the crew is small, so I don't really need to convey much information. But then there are other times where the set is complex and you need everyone to fully understand the vision and the direction of the shoot, and having a very detailed document stating information as even the type of nails that the person's supposed to be wearing, or the type of weaves that you want the person to wear. You can get as detailed as that, so that everyone has a clear idea. So even when it comes down to the makeup artist, she knows that, okay, I want red eyebrows or whatever. She can then prepare days leading up to the shoot for that. What you don't want is to give something very general, and then on the day, the makeup artist isn't equipped to execute what you actually want them to execute. And same for the stylist, same for the lighting technician, etc., etc. if there's a props person, they need to know the specific type of props. And this will also be on your mood board as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. So if we don't have any questions, actually would love to, do we have time to do a quick exercise?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, great. How many persons in here are actually participants? I know some of us are hosts. Is it 5 of you? Or is it
I
more
think we
now?
have 10 participants.
Okay, great. All right, so I should have a lot of interaction. Okay, so I need you guys to unmute or text or raise your hand, so I can, pick on you to help me flesh out this storyboard. So I'm gonna give you a concept and you help me with it. So April is known as International Autism Month, right? And we're gonna create a storyboard to celebrate, or not celebrate, but to advocate, that's the correct term, people who are on the spectrum of autism. So let me see, what's the first thing that we would do? Raise your hand so I can hear the first step that we would do to create the storyboard. That's all at once. All right. What's that? Celine Dion?
Yes.
I said that right? Okay, what's the first thing that we would do? That's a lovely name. Excellent.
Thank you. Research. That's the
Research.
first
So what
thing.
exactly are we going to research? We're going to find out what autism is. What else?
Yeah. Find out what autism is. Find out like what is done to spread awareness. Like say for example, a color, when's the month, like images used to represent autism, stuff like that.
Perfect. Yes. And you said the right thing. So we're going to find out what autism is. We're going to find out if there's any specific colors related to autism. I think the color might be yellow. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. We're going to find out, how in previous years, how have people in the creative industry celebrated autism? Because also you don't want to recreate the wheel. You want to create something that is fresh and new. So I would also, in that research aspect, look into what other projects have been done in the past and see how they. Yes, the color is blue. Yes, thank you very much, Kevin. And yeah, so see what has been done before. So we're not recreating something that's already been done. That's the last thing you want to do, because next thing, people say that you stole the idea, or sometimes you didn't steal the idea, because no idea is new under the sun. Oftentimes when you're working on something, we might be pulling from the same references, and we're pulling from the same references. It is very likely that our concepts might be very close, right? So the first thing I usually do is see what's already out there, and then we can proceed. So what's the next thing that we would do after we've done our research, collected our data? Anybody else?
No shouting.
All right, Celine Dion.
Think about how you want to present the story, the specific story that you want to tell, the specific style, like say if you want to do a linear thing or you want it to be abstract.
Definitely. Another thing I would think about is, do I want to focus on a specific person who has autism? So for example, my godson has autism. Do I want to tell his story and like the story of his mom? So it could be a story of parents raising an autistic child. Or lots of people think that autism, or people only see autism as when someone is far on the spectrum. There are a lot of high functioning autistic people in everyday society. And you could also look at a project that is showcasing the spectrum. So you could maybe do a set of people who have autism at different parts in the spectrum, from high functioning to low functioning. I don't think low functioning is the correct term, but people who are far on the spectrum and people who are not that far on the spectrum, right? So we have an idea, we have a direction, a specific direction. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna be looking for reference images based on what we have come up with, right? Any ideas of what type of, let's say for example, we are showcasing a spectrum. What kind of references will we pull?
Colors?
Colors, yes. Anybody else? One person in the group? Yes, Crystal, we can make a video from it as well. What happened to Destiny? What happened to Bree? What happened to Jemoy? What happened to Chantel? Where are you guys?
We're here, we're here.
Help me out.
We're not
Anybody
hearing.
else? All right. Well, let's continue. So we are. Who was
Oh,
that?
I think Christelle is trying to say something. Christelle?
Okay, I think I see Destiny saying historical background. Yes, that's something that we would look into as well. We can look at historical figures who have done great things in history who are also autistic. I said the arrangement will be important too. Yeah, we can look at those people and do projects related to those people. So we could even maybe say, for example, I don't know anybody who is famous that had autism, but I'm gonna randomly say, for example, Abraham Lincoln was autistic. We could actually have someone portray him or herself as Abraham Lincoln and tell that narrative as well from a photographic standpoint. And we could find other references at different parts of the spectrum and showcase their story. And then we can maybe choose the background color based on the color related to autism. And we can maybe based on our research, find some other props and background elements that would work well for a project like that. Yeah. And then once we would have done that, we can start creating our visual storyboard. And by putting in these references, adding the notes in there stating, okay, we need to find a model who is going to represent Abraham Lincoln. We need to find a set designer and costume designer to help us with the costumes and the aesthetics of the set to recreate that look. What else is there? We can probably look into doing a poll or a casting for actual persons on the spectrum to come in and be featured and tell their story. and that can help, you know, develop the story as well, based on the individual stories. And from understanding the stories, we can say, okay, maybe if this person likes nature, or maybe we could shoot that person in nature, because like maybe that person is talking about nature in the sense that when they're in nature, they are able to keep calm, because being calm in noisy conditions is something a lot of autistic people struggle with. So even that could be how the angle that we take for the project as well, is thinking of ways in which autistic people stay calm or find peace. Yeah. And then we can, based on those individual interviews and responses, we can create mood boards specific to each individual person, and then execute from there. Christelle said, tips of photos, the design. Yeah. So the stories would help curate the design, and also aid us in the type of images that we would be capturing, how we capture the images as well. Are we capturing the images from aerial view? Are we capturing it from the ground up? Are we doing wide shots? Are we doing tight shots, close-ups and stuff like that? All that can also be illustrated in the storyboard as well. And if we have no other questions or suggestions, I think we can wrap my session. So let me know.
Any other questions, girls? Anything that you want to bounce off of Jake? Now is the time to ask. And as you can see, photo storyboarding is like it's a critical element of any story that you're trying to tell, because visually is one of the best ways to actually convey to an audience what your concept is, more so than words. Yep. So this is going to be a critical element of this round one of the hackathon. You know, the photo storyboard has to be a part of the animation, the docudrama, the music video, and photo storyboarding on its own is also very, very powerful. So I hope everybody learned something. Janelle, you seeing any questions, Janelle?
I not seeing any more questions, but I wanted to also agree with everything that you said. This was a really good session. I'm so inspired. I'm also a part of the competition, but you know, trying to find a way to communicate my own ideas, and this has given me such an enormous tool base to like work from. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And definitely, if you're working on documentaries, any design aspect, you still need a storyboard. You know, you still need a document where you, as the creator or members of your team and the viewers can come and look at it and say, okay, this is the result, but this is how we got to that result, right? This is the inspiration. These are the type of images we're seeking to capture, or the type of shots that we want to capture in the docu-series or docu-short. In terms of even your design aspect of the project, that understanding how to create a storyboard helps in that too, because it helps you to stay on track with your designs. It helps you to narrow down your concept from being an arbitrary overall idea to something very honed and curated that is going to meet your target audience and effectively carry across your idea. Kiara, you have a question? Kiara,
you can open your mic if you want.
What if you have a colorful background, but for example, the mermaid's tail is just blue? It can work. You just have to be mindful of the shade of the blue. So for example, does the background have the same shade of blue? What you don't want is for it to be the same and the tail goes missing in the background. You want that differentiation in the colors. As Janelle says, it also depends on what you're communicating, right? For me, when I look at the photographer's artwork, he definitely wants you to connect directly to the mermaid. So the mermaid, if the mermaid tail is blue and the background is also blue, then you start losing the definition of that mermaid. You'll see the mermaid less, right? But unless that is what you want to create, maybe he wanted, he wants to depict the mermaid disappearing into the ocean. Then it would benefit you to have the mermaid tail being blue that matches along with the blueness of the background as well. So it really depends on what you're trying to communicate and the messages you're trying to send to the viewer. Any other questions? You're welcome, Kiara.
Okay, so this was awesome. Thank you so much, Ruben. I'm sure, Miss Bridget would want to have you come back another time. But this was really good.
You're reading my mind, Janelle, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get Jake back so that all the girls who are doing all of the modalities can utilize his expertise to create their photo storyboard, which is the story that they're going to be telling the judges before they start to figure out whether or not they're going to depict this through animation or docudrama or music video. I mean, it's such an essential part of telling the story.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Jake. So you know that I'm on it.
No problem. I'm here whenever you guys are ready. As long as I'm available, I'll lend a hand.
Awesome. So I guess
you're welcome, Chantal.
Ooh, yes, guys. Wasn't it good, guys? Like, it was awesome. I'm clapping. All right. So
use the reactions and give your hand clap so that Jake can see how many people felt that it was a great presentation. I was inspired totally.
Exactly. You can use all the icons are there. Celebrate. I'm gonna use celebrate right now because this was special. Awesome.
Oh, I'm seeing them now.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to thank you again for coming. Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. This was very valuable to us. I'm tempted to just use all the tools for everything, but I'm just going to have Kevin put them all on the notice board on the toolkit so that our girls can have them going forward. And then I'm gonna hand over to Kevin.
Kev, there is one question before you go. Somebody wanted to know if we can do just a storyboard, and yes, because if you're going to use the storyboard as your solution, then of course you're going to have to go into a lot more detail. Remember when Jake shared the piece by Van Wong, and you could see all the plastic and the colors and the vortex. So you're gonna have to take the viewer on a journey using the pictorial storyboard, the photos, and that could be your solution. But if it is that you want to use the photo storyboard to depict a docudrama or an animation, maybe you wouldn't have to get into that level of detail, but just represent the concept using the photo storyboard methodology. Jik, you want to weigh in on that? Because I think that's what some girls are trying to figure out. because we did tell them that their entire solution could be a photo storyboard.
Yeah, definitely. As you actually say, it's gonna have to be very detailed. So going back to the Von Wang example, I know he used a specific amount of bottles. I know he wanted the specific colors. So all of that information needs to be in your storyboard, whether it be depicted from a photographic standpoint or a text standpoint. It needs to have all the team members, all the personnel who are going to be involved. It needs to have detailed information on the who, what, where, when, how. It needs to have information and tech and images supporting your vision. So from start to end, if I go through your storyboard and I can't get to the end and I get an idea of what you're about, you need to start over again. You need to go from step one and go all the way through. Make it as detailed as possible. Put as much references as possible inside there to bring across your point. In the event that your topic you can't find the right reference images for your topic, draw them, sketch them, create graphics. So for example, the first project I showed you guys, I couldn't really find the right references. So I decided to draw my references and draw the set and create the set visually using drawings. Yeah, so be as detailed as possible. Etch out everything. So if you're doing gender-based violence, start off with your definitions. Don't be afraid to put that in there. Let people know the background story. So, because the idea is you want everybody to know what you're talking about, and you want people to know that you know what you are talking about and what you are presenting to them. So if you notice the beginning of my Oxygen Imperfecta project, I had all my definitions. I had sources. I had all of that stuff starting off, right? And then I got into it and broke it down from there. If you look on the other project I did in Melanote, I had reference images for the background. I had like at least 5 reference images showing the different various tones of brown that I could use. I had references for jewelry. I had references for hair. I had tips for the makeup. I had tips for the poses. I had tips. You can get as detailed as even tips of how you want the images to be captured, meaning the angles that you want them to be captured in. You can have references for the type of lighting that you want, the type of mood that you want to convey, the type of colors that you want to express, illustrate in your project. Let's see, what else is there? You can even go as detailed as how you want the images to be edited as well. So you can move from pre-production, production to post-production. Yeah, you can even think about marketing strategies that can also be in your photo storyboard as well towards the end of it. So people have a full narrative and idea of what you want to do and how you plan to do it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so that was very detailed. I hope that answers your question, or that was good enough for you as an explanation.
Janelle, Celine Dion wants to know if the storyboard will be presented in the first round. So to answer your question, Celine Dion, a lot of people will use a storyboard to depict their concept of what it is that they're going to then develop in their prototype in round 2. The persons who are focusing on the storyboard for both as their solution will give a depiction of the storyboard using generic imagery.
Components, yeah.
And Jake, you can come in here. I'm thinking you're gonna just go to, remember he said you go to Pinterest and you can find images that look like the images that you want to depict. But when
Like
you are
stock photos.
actually, right, stock photos, when you are actually going to be presenting in round 2, those images have to be your images.
Exactly.
So you have to do the setting, you have to set up everything. Ask your parents to be models, ask your sister to be the model, all of that.
Fun stuff,
Yeah,
guys.
definitely. I agree. So yeah, the initial stage is based on how the structure. If you plan to do only the photo storyboard, then definitely your initial storyboard is going to be references, inspiration, ideas that you found on the internet and stuff like that. You're pulling together into a little pool, and then when you're presenting in the actual project, if you do decide to only do the storyboard, then these photographs need to be your photographs. So you would have created these photographs based on what you pulled from in previous round to represent you. Otherwise, it wouldn't really be a competition because it's not your work.
Correct. I hope that clarifies for you, Celine. Just give us a thumbs up if you're clear. All right, over to you, Janelle.
Okay, I think we'll have one last question. I think it's just a general question about if you're supposed to present your members. So in the first round, you're introducing yourself, you're introducing your ideas. So the answer to that is just yes. You're also introducing your members while you're introducing your ideas. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I believe this is the end, right, Ms. Bridget?
Yes, it is, Janelle.
Okay. Again, thank you, Jake, for coming. This was awesome. Thank you, girls, for turning up tonight. We're gonna post all thumbs up. Thank you. So we're gonna post all the recording for those of you who missed it, and also update the toolkit with everything that Jake has shared. So thank you again. Okay.
That was awesome. Thank you, Jake. Kev,
You're most
thanks,
welcome.
Janelle, for being an awesome host. Kevin, is this the same person who told us at the start, oh, I don't know if I can host, I'm shy? I mean, you are fantastic, Janelle.
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you. You just managed it like a pro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are definitely in like Flynn now. So more is coming. You're going to be like Jake. I'm going to be with you like Jake, like I'm going to call you Jake. All right, Kev, what do we have? Do we have any tips? Our notice board, which is where you go for all things Caribbean Girls Hackathon 2021. We have all of the recordings from past sessions there.
I see Sarah Anderson is saying she's still not in the group. Sarah, could you please get in contact with us through the notice board so we know exactly which Sarah Anderson we're dealing with? There's a form to contact us. We will check that as soon as. Send us some more information on you, where you're from and such, so we can investigate that. That's just one of the great uses of the notice board. Get in contact with us. We have all of that stuff. We have, like I just said, all the replays. I have already posted all that Jake already said. All those links already up, so you can go and start using them now, including the all the other tools that he would have put up and just to get inspiration. So yeah, I think that's it. We are good. Great session again tonight, everyone. Anything further? We're ready to roll out.
Ready to roll out. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, girls. See you on, when is the next session?
I put it up. We'll let them know on the notice board, but the next session will be our
Okay.
music video session.
Right,
Just to
on
confirm it.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, so we are out.
Oh yeah, winner, 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 winner. I am a winner. Almighty make me know. Oh, I am a winner. Oh yeah, oh, I am a winner. I am a winner from the Caribbean. Oh, oh, I am a winner. Oh yeah, oh. Get a dream, perceive it, conceive it, believe it, you'll achieve it. Nothing can stop you except how you see yourself. You're not less than nobody else. Know that you're great. You too can do it. Better get to it. You might have heard these lines before. Let me remind you once more. Know you can do it. Get up and show the greatness inside you, baby. I am a winner. Almighty make me know. Oh, I am a winner. Oh, yeah. Oh, I am a winner. I am a winner. I am from Trinbago. Oh, I am a winner. Oh, yeah. Oh. We come to win, that's our life. Hot like the blazing sunlight. Caribbean take full flight. Love and unite, yeah. We come to win, that's our life. Hot like the blazing sunlight. Caribbean take full flight. Love and unite, yeah. Islands, many great men and women shine out. Taking the West Indian name all around the world. We not less than nobody else. Know that you're great. You too can do it. Better get to it. The islands might be small. With a big dream, you can't stop we at all. No, you can do it. Get up and show the greatness inside you, baby. I am a winner. Almighty make me know. Oh, I am a winner. Oh, yeah. Oh, I am a winner. I am a winner. I am from Trinbago. Oh, I am a winner. Oh, yeah. Oh. We come to win, that's our life. Hot like the blazing sunlight. Caribbean take full flight. Love and unite, yeah. We come to win, that's our life. Hot like the blazing sunlight. Caribbean take full flight. Love and unite, yeah. Greatness lies deep inside us. Show them what you got, show them what you got, show them what you got. Greatness lies deep inside us. Keep reaching for the top, we go reach the top.